Goodwill store workers, what is something you wish people stop donating?
So many things. I have to say these shops are not somewhere you should dump your trash. No one wants broken toys and chewed books. We are not ungrateful, but it costs us to dispose of these things. I do not want to handle your dirty torn underpants. I almost had a serious injury when one donor wrapped up blades from a blender in a towel and dumped them in a bag full of clothes. Please don't do that.
Cleaning out my senior parents' place, we tried to donate a very expensive built-in TV stand made of oak. Turns out flat screens don't fit in them and they never get sold.
I remember a while ago I saw a side news story covering how a bunch of charity places were asking people to stop donating book copies of 50 Shades of Grey. I seem to recall one store had enough copies they made a book for it out of them.
I haven't worked there in over a decade, but, garbage. People would dump bags and bags of garbage in front of the store overnight, and I mean shit that no reasonable person would ever consider to be anything but garbage. Busted up concrete. Rusty metal. Basically shit they didn't want to pay to have hauled away, and couldn't be fucked to take all the way to the dump. Shoes with no fellow, items that don't work right, clothes that are badly stained.
I remember about 10 years ago reading that charity shops were stopping accepting VHS tapes because there was such a glut of them. One person complained that they'd enjoyed getting 5 VHS tapes for £1. Which was pretty much missing the point. VHSs are large and bulky, take up storage space, and the staff still have to process them all for 20p each. Nice for him. Not so good for the workers and charity that's supposed to be benefiting, and probably why they stopped accepting them. Not to mention that half those tapes probably would have gone unsold and cost money to dispose of. Course, nowadays most of those worthless, mass-market VHS tapes are probably landfill, and it's 10 to 15-year-old DVDs that my local branch of Sex is selling for 50p each.
Someone accidentally donated an urn, complete with cremated ashes.
Folks, go through your stuff before you donate. I once found a memorial album someone had made for a woman who had died, and another time I found an old friendship book full of names and addresses. Really made me wonder what the people who worked in the charity shop were thinking.
Decades-old encyclopedias missing a volume or two.
Obligatory, not Goodwill, but a volunteer at an actual non-profit thrift store. Broken, filthy things. We have to pay for garbage pickup, so your donation actually costs the charity money. No, we don't repair stuff, for liability and other reasons. No. That box of mangy books stinking of mildew will not make some avid reader happy. Planned obsolescence things. The number of Apple 30-pin docks and clocks and other gizmos I see each week. Or cordless phone sets when people discover replacing the dead battery packs costs more than just buying a whole new cordless phone set. Compact fluorescent light bulbs, please stop. How nice you switched to LED, but nobody buys used CFLs. And since they are classified as hazardous waste due to mercury, we are back to your donation actually costs the charity money since we have to properly dispose of them.
Old books with cash hidden in them. No, wait, keep donating, not an employee, but a regular thrift store shopper. Personalized items. I'm talking about wedding things, shirts, and anything with names on them. I found a memorial shirt one time and I was wondering why someone would donate something like that.
I volunteer with a local food pantry. Please don't donate literal garbage. Nobody wants your decade-expired dry cake mix.
Really old and beat-up furniture. It usually gets thrown away after a while, or just sits there.
Not a Goodwill employee, but I recently joined a few decluttering and organizing groups on Facebook to get more motivated about decluttering my house, and you would be really surprised by the number of people who think it's okay to donate used underwear. I honestly didn't realize that people would even consider doing that, but apparently they do. I feel really bad for the thrift store employees who have to sort them out and discard them. Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass albums.
Anything badly stained. Used sex toys, dirty diapers including adult, 50 Shades of Grey, used needles.
Not an employee but a thrift store shopper, and no stores around here, Goodwill or otherwise, will accept furniture anymore because they're packed to the rafters with it. The people I've talked to say that the stuff does sell, but there's just so much, and they literally have no more room to store any.
We call them charity shops in the UK, I'm guessing it's the same deal. If you're donating anything with pockets, please take a second to remove your used tissues, it grosses us out. We don't want anything that's broken or doesn't work. We don't want Christmas decorations before Novemberish, we don't have a lot of storage space to keep them for 8 months. We don't want your underpants or socks.
I used to work for the Salvos, and early on in my tenure there, we would get loads of these bootleg DVDs people would pick up in Bali. Those always ended up in the bin because the packaging was just a flimsy plastic envelope and the label printing quality was awful. We also ended up with a few tarot card sets, which we couldn't sell because we were part of a Christian organization. I ended up taking them home. I've never actually seen a tarot set for card games there or in any other op shop, but those would probably be okay to sell, since they have secular imagery such as farmers and market scenes on them.
Sex toys and used underwear.
Oddly enough, food. People will try to donate food to thrift stores and we just cannot accept them for health reasons. This is a PSA to donate any food to a food bank. I work next to a donation place. They throw a lot of mattresses and couches away. They say they take it so the people will feel good about donating, but if they're too worn or used they go straight to the dumpster in the back.
Salvation Army here, not Goodwill. Stop leaving you piss and cum stained mattresses. Ya all nasty.
Not an employee, so definitely not a company policy, but please actually check to make sure video games and movies you don't want work before you donate them. Yes. It's for charity, but unlike used game stores, these places don't have machines of their own to test them all out on. It's not uncommon to go through the aisle, find a cheap copy of a game you want, pop it in, and it just not start. This makes avid collectors like me not want to go to these stores. I'll deal with a beat-up box or missing instruction booklet, but the disc needs to be working. This should be common knowledge, but somehow it isn't. No. I can't, and won't bother hiring someone to fix your scratch discs. Nobody wants them.
Baby strollers. Most of us can't take them due to recalls and standards and shit. Also literally anything you don't clean. Can you really not wash your shit out of this before tossing it at us? Also so many people have a way to vague description of gently used. Also alcohol, ammunition and drugs. Seriously.
Old appliances. Big fat TVs, as there are usually plenty flat screens available at all times. Refrigerators that cost more to power than it is to just keep buying new food, etc.
The thing to understand is that for a lot of people, donating is an easy way to get rid of shit they would otherwise have to pay money to dump at a landfill, and at the same time, get a receipt for donation that they can use off their taxes. Anyone giving shit to Goodwill probably knows that Goodwill isn't hurting for money. You have to be rolling in money to have thousands of retail collection centers and then even more actual stores, as well as their wholesale, by the pound final sales locations. They get non-profit tax status on /5+ billion in revenue.
My Goodwill store always seems to get golf clubs donated. Problem with that is, they try and hide them all the way in the back corner under a bunch of other things. I live in a city that has a bunch of retirees, and there are 5 major golf courses within 20 miles. They get some really nice clubs from time to time. Got a nice $500 set of Callaways for $20. Resold it for $150.
Fast food toys, puzzles, random electronic cables.
Work with a clothing charity. Hate getting those generic t-shirts they give you at marathons, school events, family reunions etc. Who is going to wear those? Nobody. Also, used underwear.
I have worked in a charity shop before, and stopped donating toys covered in your child's shit. My mom once tried on a pair of shorts that I guess had built-in underwear at the thrift store, and when she went to pull them off she saw a used pad stuck in it. I gagged as I typed this. I haven't donated in years. I post on Facebook what I have free to anybody who needs it. it usually gone within the hour. I'd rather it go straight to the person who needs it instead of them spending money on something I was giving away for free anyway.
Expired food. I always ask them first if the food is still good. 90% it's not. Honorable mention, hangers. Every time someone asks if we take certain items they phrase it as "do you take this?" For hangers even they know they're unwanted because they ask, "Do you need these?"
When I worked at a thrift store, a surprising amount of human ashes would be donated, sometimes by accident. People pass away and sometimes when families are cleaning out houses they just bring everything to charity shops without really paying attention. So probably that.
I used to have an elderly woman who would drive up to my donation drive-thru every Monday and hand an empty pizza box to me. More confusing, she would normally return 10 minutes later with a cracked flower pot full of dirt. She was a strange woman.
My aunt worked at a Goodwill. She helped take in a truckload from a guy in his mid-20s. After he left, all the boxes was filled with household items but had old Playboys, porno DVDs, and some toys.
I don't work there, but I wish people would stop donating 14K modems.
Your fucking failed sewing projects with pins still sticking out of them.
Didn't work at Goodwill, but at a large local thrift store. Fucking sex toys. It was rare for a week where someone wouldn't try to give us a bag of stuff with a dildo or anal bead stuffed in the middle, or would just be like, "Here, take my Fuckmaster 6000 sex doll." If the store didn't have a policy to check all items, because of a drug mishap years prior, we would have been stuck with them. No one wants your used sex toys, even if you clean them up.
Christmas decorations, especially fake trees. I guarantee they already have a dozen trees out back or at another location.
I do a shift a week at a charity shop. People should really stop trying to donate underwear. Unless it's in an unopened pack. Also, unwashed clothes in general, particularly from people with a bow problem, it just gets thrown away, and there's just too much to take home and wash. It's gross.
I'm just going to say it. Junk. If you wouldn't use it, it is junk. Same with canned goods. If it's 3 years expired, it's no good. I don't work at Goodwill, but I do work at a thrift store. Please stop donating garbage, broken things, stained clothing, dead birds, used dildos and broken toys. Just to name a few.
Electronics without their cords. Seriously, this happens a lot. About half the electronics we got. Likewise, things that require a remote to work, but you didn't include the remote.
Semen-crusted underwear.
Most common one I hear, MLM crap. Stop donating your Lululemon leggings, doTERRA oils and shit you invested way too much in and couldn't sell.
Not an employee, but a common thrifter. Please stop donating used underwear. Bras I can kind of overlook if they are still in good condition, but no one wants to buy your skid-marked briefs or bleached-out panties. That's just gross. Old box TVs I think are fine, as I like to turn them into aquariums. Also, stop donating really used mattresses. They are usually wallared out, stained suspiciously, and in my area likely teeming with bedbugs. The bedbug issue caused most of my local thrift stores to deny mattresses and sofas outright. Also, please don't donate baby strollers and car seats over 10 years old. Safety regulations for such has changed a lot, and you might be putting someone's innocent child in danger by not just throwing it out. Recently, Red Cross only give 9 million from 23 million of donations for fire victims in Australia. I stopped donating blood
7 years late, but I would imagine nowadays the big, bulky TV sets. Flat screens have become so cheap in the past few years that I can't even imagine people still have these massive TV sets.
How about stop donating to Goodwill, period. They're a billion-dollar company making money off of your donations. They give their regional CEOs 7-figure bonuses. They are a trash organization that pays their disabled staff as little as 0.22 cents an hour. Star Wars sequel trilogy toys. If they ain't selling well at Walmart or Target, they ain't gonna be selling at Goodwill either.
Puzzles, missing pieces are not noticed right away.
They're garbage. Clothes that are dirty or torn, dishes that are chipped, and especially plastic water bottles.
Mattresses. Ain't no one wanting any mattress that has been used. Ever.
People donating dirty clothes. I do not work at Goodwill but at Savers, which is a New England version of Goodwill, but people need to stop donating fricking guitars, those stupid plastic guitar for that game. It is annoying as fuck. The thing that's most donated is clothes. I used to work at Goodwill and the amount of garbage clothes that we literally just threw in the compactor is crazy. Side note, just because you think your stuff is worth something doesn't mean it is. Example. This family of 3 tried to donate like 30 old picture frames. A lot were broken and crappy, there was one that was pretty cool but that was it. When I told them we didn't want to take them they were so surprised, like what, you won't take our old broken crap? Why? Question mark.
I mean, no one should donate anything to that giant fake, for-profit place. Donate to your local thrift store instead. Those are usually run by churches and donate 100% of the proceeds to local groups and causes.
As someone who once bought a cute pair of boots without trying them on, I'll say your crack pipe hidden in the toe of a shoe. I'm very lucky I saw it and didn't jam my foot into the glass.
You shouldn't donate anything to Goodwill. They are a predatory company that takes advantage of their volunteers and workers and pay their executives a ton of money. Screw Goodwill.
Dirty pillows. Pretty much every day someone will donate really gross yellowed and browned pillows. Once someone donated a pillow that had a bunch of blood on it. From what I hope was just from nosebleeds.
My husband worked for Goodwill for a bit. He constantly complained about old TVs. He even hurt his hand pretty bad on one.
Never worked Goodwill but did work at a different second-hand store, reusable MaxiPads. This happened more than once and I can only thank whatever is out there looking out for retail workers that we never found the dirty one. Stained yes but never dirty.
Well, don't donate to Goodwill at all because they are evil, but don't donate your garbage. People take boxes from their garage or barn that's full of cat pee and roaches and Goodwill workers have to sift through it for any sellable item. They have to because they have a quota of items to process. This includes digging through your trash and shining it up with Windex to look clean. People do this instead of taking it to the dump because they won't be charged by Goodwill.
I thought some places took unwearable clothes and they were shredded and recycled.
Underwear, bras, ripped or stained or unwashed clothing. It's so freaking gross sorting through clothing bins with that shit. We throw it all away. Also stop giving us electronics that you definitely know are broken. We don't test them at our location.
I volunteer at a cat shelter. Please stop donating us expired food. Yes, 2017 is expired food. I throw away maybe 1/4 of the food that's donated. During Christmas time someone donated cans of food from 2011. We recently got a really used bathrobe, used boots, shampoo bottles with only a little bit left in it, a fur coat, that we donated to a local artist, lots of self-help books. Is that a message? Boxes of books with dirt inside of them, a garlic press, bar stools, cat cushions smelling like pee, 100 of empty pills bottles, and various stuff so dirty and disgusting I had to wear gloves to go through it. If you're not sure if we need it, just call us.
I worked at Goodwill for just over a month and you would not believe the amount of underwear, mostly women's underwear, that would be donated. There once was a shift that I remember opening a medium-sized garbage bag up and it was just filled with used dirty women's underwear.
I'm not a Goodwill worker but I regularly donate items to them or to a local women's shelter. Both of them have a policy to never take old computer equipment because no one buys them. People dump them off there after hours anyways. If you have old electronics, please take them to a proper disposal facility. Your county/parish/whatever government should have a dedicated facility for waste disposal that generally handles used electronics as well as used oil, recycling, etc. You'll have to pay a fee. Deal with it. Charities don't exist to get rid of your trash for you.
Broken SHT, like we're not going to make any money out of your broken Barbie toaster or little dog mixed stuff and chair.
They're crusty socks. If you want to donate cum or blood socks, at least make it fresh, lightly shat pants. Come on guys, gotta sell that shit. $40.
One of the girls at the thrift store I work at had to get stitches because some asshole threw steak knives in the bottom of a trash bag of clothing.
Greater than we are not ungrateful. But you should be ungrateful if you get handed shit. The whole concept of not offending people even when they do you a disservice, and know it, is complete and utter bullshit. If they bring you garbage, you should be allowed to tell them that you're not a garbage dump and that they should stick it up their asses, but let's face it, they'll just throw it in the bushes on their way home.
I had a purse full of burnt spoons, cigarette butts, human teeth, and uncapped syringes. My manager at the time said we don't have a sharps container, so I had to put on thick gloves and fill a big mason jar up with used needles, then was instructed to deliver them to the hospital nearby. The hospital said what the fuck, we don't want those. Then I had to take it to the dump and they had a sharps disposal area. This was for minimum wage. It was over 10 years ago, but still fuck Goodwill. Also, please stop donating family photo albums. Just gotta think outside the box a little bit. I had a TV stand I couldn't get rid of, so I moved it to my garage. It's a really good toolbox holder, shelving unit for various fluids. My motor oil and ATF is behind a glass door lol. I'll probably grab 1-2 more in the future. People basically give them away.
My mom asked me to put one on Craigslist. I keep telling her no one is going to want it, but I put an ad up for her anyway. She told me someone called about it and she described the call. It was one of those scammers wanting to send her a check for more money than she was asking for.
Sell it on flea market flip. Somebody will surely make a bar cart or a coffee table from it.
With a little effort they make really good whiskey cabinets.
Me and my roommate use one as a pantry since the house we live in doesn't have one. Works like a charm.
They do, however, make very classy rack cabinets for servers.
I've seen people do a nice job turning these into the cutest play kitchens for kids. People might purchase them for that.
Parents had one that my father turned into a bar.
My dad had one of these. He took a saw to it so that it's in 3 pieces. Tower TV stand in the center tower. It looked decent and worked well.
I'd probably install shelves in it and use it as a hut.
We have one of those but added a wooden frame to support a flat screen off the front. Still have the overhead and under storage space and it fits perfectly in the corner.
You can make an amazing aquarium out of it. Make the TV an aquarium. Never done it myself but saw it once online and it looked amazing.
I donated a copy my wife received, from my mother. Shutter, underneath a pile of old books. My wife never read it and is not fazed by it, so decided to donate it with a bunch of other books just gathering dust. Still felt dirty sneaking it to my local library.
I was volunteering in a tiny charity shop in the UK when 50 Shades came out. After a week, we had 6 copies already. Another week passed and the manager said that if any copies get donated, they go in the box of books that are too damaged to sell. They then go to a company who decides whether to send them to somewhere that needs books, hospitals, prisons, overseas etc., or whether to recycle them. I was there for another few months and holy shit, so many copies that either looked like they'd been read once, or looked like they were decades old.
Make yourself feel better. I recommend you head over to Amazon and check out 50 Shades of Grey. It's a fantastic parody of 50 Shades and it's full of corny puns about lawn gnomes and rubber boots. I used to have a reverence for books, such that I couldn't destroy one. I've been to enough thrift stores and book fairs now to know this is silly. Garbage books that have 30 million in print can go right in the trash.
Someone at my old job managed to acquire a PDF copy of the book. That individual emailed it to some of their friends. Then those individuals emailed the file to their friends. And every single one of those horny individuals kept a copy of the file on the company data server. That yielded some very interesting company-wide meetings after IT ran an audit when the server ran out of space.
I remember a news article somewhere that said library copies were found to have traces of herpes virus on it. Don't buy used errata books or check them out from a library. Here it is. https://www.theguardian.com/books/2013/November/18/50 Shades of Grey Viral Library Herpes.
Twilight 2, I imagine. There are piles of every single book in the Twilight series at my local Goodwill.
Should have made a bonfire with them.
At minimum, people need to stop trying to get money for them. I worked for a used bookstore where we'd give people money for trade-ins and they'd be so upset that we wouldn't buy their trade paperback copy of the Da Vinci Code. Estimate how many people bought or read it, then ask yourself why you're getting rid of it, and try to calculate why anyone would give you a nickel for it to resell.
With a built-in sex dungeon.
I was volunteering at a closing book warehouse. Place was giant, like airplane hangar size. Paid and all the books I wanted when I was done. Anyway, up front they had thousands of copies of the Twilight and 50 Shades piled in a parking spot up front. Sign said take as many as you want, the remainder will be burned in a bad book bonfire when everything else was cleared out. It was staggering how many there were.
Book forts made out of 50 Shades of Grey books should sell quite well, though.
I remember that article. Something about the binding or cover material made the books non-recyclable, so it was either a book fort or the landfill. That's all they could think about, I guess.
Absolutely, very much this.
How much rusty metal?
Would rusty metal still have scrap value? Not necessarily enough to pay for the gas, let alone the time, to bring it to a scrap yard, but some value?
The Goodwill in my town has a camera and a bunch of signs saying not to dump trash and that they'll report you to the police if you do it after hours. It's sad that people think leaving literal garbage at a second-hand shop is something that's okay to do.
Yep. My old store used to have the same white moving truck dump garbage off every Monday morning around 3 a.m. Turns out they were collecting donations from those donation bins you see around town, and instead of disposing of their own garbage, just literal trash, they would drive to our store and literally shovel it out of their truck, right in front of our back donation door. Some mornings we couldn't even open the door to get out, it was piled so high. One time, included in the trash, was a garbage bag just filled with beer bottle caps. We called the cops about it, since we had them on camera. But they never cared.
I had a friend who worked at a second-hand store and said that the reason he hated working in the back, sorting, was how gross it is to open up a bag of donations and find actual garbage inside. On a less bad note, at my so's house, his mother asked everyone to put out their old clothes for donation, and I noticed his brother had included his worn-out socks with his donation clothes. I was pretty disappointed in him that he had apparently mistaken a donation pile with a garbage pile, so I put those in the trash where they belonged.
Fucking yes. I spent a summer volunteering at a Salvation Army warehouse, and the amount of just fucking garbage people would donate is just atrocious. Nobody fucking wants your floaties with holes in them, or your broken mirrors, or what the fuck ever else. Literally most of my job was just binning trash that people would dump overnight.
Thank you for watching. We publish amazing Reddit stories every day. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to keep the dog smiling.